What is up, New Beginnings Church? Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome to our devotion series through the Gospel of Luke. We're in it. We're in Luke chapter 13. Pause and read ahead if you'd like to. I'm going to pick up in verse number 22. Jesus was on his way through towns and villages, making his way to Jerusalem, and someone asked him, "Lord, are only a few people going to be saved?" And he said to them, "Make every effort." I want you to underline that word. Make every effort to enter through the narrow, that's the other word, narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Of course, this is also mentioned in the Sermon on the Mount in the book of Matthew, where he talks about entering through the narrow gate, for wide is the path that leads to destruction. So when I hear these words, again, I just start thinking about like, oh no, he is challenging me to tell me, hey, this life, living for God's best, living out God's kingdom plan, walking out God's will for your life, it's not easy. As a matter of fact, when you parallel, like, wide is the path that leads to destruction. And so what gives you this image is like, hey, look, there's an easy path that you can naturally default your life to. And if you just go with the flow of life and current culture and circumstance, it's easy, but you're going to go down a dark road that you don't like. But rather, there's a narrow road. There's something that you have to make effort for. I love this. Again, make every effort to enter through a tight place, a narrow place. Because I think what it's telling you is this. For you to experience God's best, it's not handed to you on a silver platter. Again, we were just talking this past Sunday about the idea of, no, the promised land is what he promised. But the Israelites still had to go fight for the promised land. Like God had gone ahead of them. God was with them through the whole process. But like they had to go, and there were giants in the promise. There were no giants in the desert. There were only giants in the promised land. And so I think it gives you this idea that, hey, if you really want to experience God's best, it's going to cost you something. We'll see that later this week. Maybe it's going to cost you something. It's going to require effort, and it ain't easy. And not everybody's doing it. That's why it's such a narrow path. But I think if you're honest with yourself, and you have to be a little bit older to grasp this, I'm starting to grasp this as I get older in life, is that sometimes in the moment, I just want to do what's easy. But then down the road, I'm annoyed because I think, man, if I'd have started investing when I was in my 20s, look at where I could be now. Or some people are like, hey, look, if I'd have invested more into my marriage 10 years ago, maybe it wouldn't be here now. And so what we have is we have this constant wrestling match between present Todd and future Todd. Because present Todd wants everything to be a little bit easy, but then future Todd is looking for like, no, I wish you would have put in the effort, because now we'd be living out the dream. We'd be living out what we really, really want in life. And so in light of that, what I would challenge you to think about is this. Life is hard. Choose the type of hard that you want, right? So Jesus is saying, hey, there's a narrow path that takes a lot of effort for you to experience God's best. And it's hard. But if you go down a wide road, the eventual thing is that you get destruction. Well, that's hard too. It's almost like saying this. Being financially disciplined right now is hard. It is. It's hard to have a budget, to stick to that budget, to be disciplined, to not get caught up with, the Joneses and needing to wear this and travel here and have it's like you're having to be disciplined, but that requires effort. It's hard. Well, guess what else is hard? Poverty's hard. Like nobody wants that either, right? Think about it like this. Again, we're in the realm of like discipline. Like disciplining your children is hard. It requires massive amounts of consistent effort. Like disciplining your kids is hard. Dealing with crazy kids that are undisciplined, that's hard too. So you got to choose your hard, right? When we think about our own spiritual walk with God, like prayer and fasting is hard. It requires work and effort. Now, some people, it comes naturally to them, but I'm just telling you, for most people, prayer and fasting is hard. Well, man, depression's hard. Addiction's hard. Like having things control you spiritually and manipulate you spiritually, that's hard too. And so what I would dare to challenge you to say is this, hey, there is a narrow path. It will require effort. But future Todd is going to be so happy with present Todd if I'll put in the effort and take the narrow path now. Because again, if you keep saying yes to the easy thing now, it is easier in the now, but future you is going to be annoyed because they'll be reaping destruction. And so I would say this, they're both hard. Choose the hard that actually leads to abundant life. Or we could say it like this, choose the narrow path that takes effort, that gets you right slap dab in the middle of God's best for your life. Because even though it might be hard right now, The payoff is amazing. Church, I love you so much. God bless you guys. I will see you tomorrow.